Hello everyone and welcome back to A Couple Books. This is Couple as usual, always. I don't know, one of those two. Anyways, today we are continuing with our number 3 in the installment of Top 5s of 2020. Today we are going to be going through the top 5 mystery/thriller novels that I read in the year 2020. As you guys know, I just joined BookTube and you guys have all been so kind and warm and welcoming, but I wanted to wrap you guys up on what happened in the 10 months before I was on BookTube this year. So this video will have some books that you guys know I read because I discussed them on the channel, and then there will be some books that I've not discussed on the channel that I've also read this year. So buckle up, let's get started, let's go! The first book on today's list is going to be Taylor Adams' No Exit. This follows a girl named Darby. Darby goes to school somewhere in the mountains in the Rockies, which is, if you don't know, in the middle of the United States of America, and she is driving home because she has heard from her sister that there's a family emergency, and so she is racing back home. I do believe it's her sister. I think it's her sister. I'm like 97% sure it's her sister. Honestly, that's not consequential to the story, so let's just move on. So our main character, Dobby, gets this call to go see her mother for a family emergency. She gets in the car and she starts driving from her college campus, and there is a freak snowstorm that happens, and by freak snowstorm I mean not so freaky because these things happen in the Rockies. And long story short, she gets like stuck up there, and she decides to pull over to a way station to ride out the storm because it's just too dangerous to drive down the mountain. It's just not going to happen. The snow is too thick, the snow is too slick, and it is just no longer safe to drive. So she pulls into a way station. When she gets into the way station, she sees a few other cars that are already parked there because of the storm. She goes into the way station itself and she sees that there are a few people in there. Anyways, they all seem, you know, your typical strangers in a way station type of people. So basically, don't talk to them, avoid eye contact, and try and be as kind as possible while maintaining the no eye contact rule as well. Long story short, she decides to leave to go grab her cell phone, or to try and see if she can grab some service with her cell phone. And while she's out there, she looks in the back of one of the cars that she's passing, and she sees a cage. And inside the cage is a little girl. So what do we know? We know someone at this way station, someone that Darby has met, has kidnapped a little girl. At least that is the presumption we're making. So what will Darby do? Will she be able to save the girl? What will happen? I know because I read the book. You might not know because you didn't read the book. But this is a fantastic thriller novel. It's cold, it's wintry, it is child abduction, which is not a good thing, and it was very intense, and I really enjoyed it. The next book on my list, which I do believe I have talked about on this channel, is An Unwanted Guest by Shari Lapena. This is probably one of the first locked room mysteries that I read. And what is a locked room mystery, you may ask? That is when our main set of characters is stuck at a location, either due to the geographical location, like it's on an island, due to the fact that there's like a freak storm, like a snowstorm, for example. Whatever the reasons are, they're stuck at a location, a crime happens, and they have to solve it themselves because there's no help coming from the outside. This is a trope that has been popularized in recent time. It is, I think, one of the first authors to really bring it to the forefront, though I don't think the author to like write the first one was Agatha Christie with her And Then There Were None novel. This story basically follows these two girls who are best friends, and one of the friends has PTSD because she was a reporter in war zones, I do believe, and they decide that they need a weekend getaway, so they go out to this lovely little cabin. They get snowed in because it's winter, and apparently I read a lot of snow time books in the middle of the summer, since that's when I read this book. They get there, there's a whole bunch of other couples, some singles, an author. All these random people are up at this resort to get away for the weekend and to just enjoy their time in freedom and to kind of just enjoy themselves over at this beautiful log cabin resort. I don't even know if it's called a resort, but you get what I'm saying. It's a nice cabin. And long story short, someone dies. They believe that there's a murderer or maybe an unwanted guest at the inn that they're all staying at, and it is up to them, since they're snowed in, to solve the crime before anyone else dies. This is probably one of my favorite murder mysteries that I've read this year. It was utterly fantastic. Highly recommend picking it up. Next would be the introduction to one of my new favorite authors of 2020, Riley Sager. Riley Sager writes a lot of very good thriller/horror books. and this is one of his thriller editions, Lock Every Door. This follows our main character, Jules. Jules is down on her luck. Everything is going wrong in her life. She is at rock bottom. She went there, and she's been there. Her and I are like neighbors, basically, down there. And so she has a slight problem, which is a money problem. She also has a slight social problem, which is a social problem. And just due to a variety of reasons, she just needs just like the tiniest bit of like a chance. And that falls into her lap when she sees an ad for a job on a website that basically is asking for someone to come to apartment sit at the Bartholomew. The Bartholomew is this extremely high luxurious, highly secretive apartment building that is located in the city. The people that live here are like the super famous, the super wealthy, and ultra secretive types of people, and they have a vacancy that's opened up, and because there is a rule at the Bartholomew that no apartment shall be empty, they need to hire apartment sitters to come in and live in these apartments and get paid to live there until someone can move in to this new vacancy. Our main character, Jules, takes up this opportunity. She goes and she applies to the job. She gets it, and when she gets there, she meets other apartment sitters just like her. She's of course encouraged by the staff at the Bartholomew to not converse with any of the permanent residents at the Bartholomew. She ends up becoming buddy with another fellow apartment sitter, and her and her apartment sitter are chit-chatting, and they become good friends. They make plans to hang out, get drinks, get coffee, that kind of stuff. And they make plans to, and then all of a sudden her new friend disappears, and the Bartholomew is claiming that she just left on her own accord without saying goodbye or without anything of the sort. There's something wrong at the Bartholomew. We don't know what it is. There's something iffy. We can't figure it out what it is. This is a book that kept me at the edge of my seat. I did not expect the ending in the slightest bit. It was quite excellent. I really enjoyed it, and I really have enjoyed a lot of Riley Sager's other works. Of course, as you guys know, with these lists, I try to keep it to one author per list. So this is going to be my Riley Sager installment. I made a full review for this book, but this is The Whisper Man by Alex North. I have a full review on my channel for this one. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it like 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Super a lot. What is English? I don't know. Anyways, long story short, this is a story that has 2 storylines going on. We are in number 1, this father and son. The father and son have recently had a tragedy. The wife/mother died, and they decide to move to the father's hometown. I think it's called Featherbank. And they move back to this old town, and they move into a kind of a odd house, but they move into this house. They basically are living there while this notorious serial killer is on the loose in the town that is called the Whisper Man. And this Whisper Man has gained his name because he likes to go outside of children's windows while they're sleeping and whisper things to them before kidnapping them. And we know that our main character and his son are basically moved into this town while this is going down, and that the son hears whispering outside of his window at night. So that is one storyline we're following. The second storyline we are following is a police duo. It is this older detective who captured the original Whisper Man decades ago, and then we have a new, fresh detective who is lead on the case of trying to solve the case of a missing child that has gone missing in Featherbank recently, and they are on the case to try and save him from this copycat Whisper Man before it's too late. And these stories, of course, converge because that's how these things work. I really enjoyed this one. I enjoyed a lot of things about this. There's a lot of like basic, decent, great thriller writing going on here, but in addition to that, there's a lot of other symbolism and a lot of other themes that are going on in this book that I think are important, that to be taken out of the thriller aspect of the story and looking at it more closely. It is quite an amazing story. I think that there's a lot going on in this book. Alex North was fantastic. He did a very good job with this. Highly recommend. My last book for you guys, I also talked about on this channel quite a bit, which is Edgar Contero's The Meddling Kids. This is a Scooby-Doo sort of book, but not really. Basically, what is it? It is a horror thriller. Of course, I didn't think it was much of a horror book. I think it's definitely much more on the thriller mystery level, but that is just my personal opinion. And basically, in this book, we have our Scooby-Doo cast, which is 4 kids and a dog, naturally. And these 4 kids, they used to, as kids, go around and solve like mysteries at this small little town. But now it is decades later. They've all grown up. the past is in the past, and now they're trying to become adults. And unfortunately, they're not all in the best places. One of the characters is dead, which is not a spoiler, don't worry. One is running away from the law, the other one is a bartender, and the other one's in a mental hospital. So they're all kind of like not where they imagined they would be at this point in their lives. The dog unfortunately has passed away, but its grandchild, I do believe, is with us in this book. And they basically decide that the reasons their lives all went askew is because of something that happened on their last case when they were kids. So they decide to return to the scene of their last solved crime, which involved a house that was belonging to a necromancer and lake monsters and all this crazy stuff that was going on. I really enjoyed this book. I thought that Edgar Quintero did a very good job of bringing the Scooby-Doo callbacks and placing them very nicely within the story while making it fresh and his own. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. It was very fun, and I love Scooby-Doo. I watched Scooby-Doo growing up, so that was also like a total nostalgic factor going on in here. Absolutely love this book. My last and final pick for the year 2020 for top mystery / thrillers is Meddling Kids by Edgar Quintero. And those are my 5 books in no particular order. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye bye now.